Hey gang, Sally here. Hope you're having an amazing and fascinating day. Happy New Year. This is coming out the first Sunday in 2024, and it's a year in review for 2023. So we're going to get right into that in just a moment, but a couple of kind of housekeeping things. First of all, I'm making great progress toward hitting that magic 1,000 subscribers. I'm at like 963 right now, and 4,000 hours of watch time. But interestingly, my watch time actually started going down because YouTube doesn't count private watch hours, and I don't understand exactly what that is. If you want to help me out, you could pick a playlist and just let it play in the background. You can even mute the sound, you can increase the speed, or you can actually watch the videos if you haven't done that already. Speaking of playlists, one of the things that I'm working on right now for 2024, because I skip around so much in chronology, everything is not linear that I'm publishing, especially travel wise. I'm putting together a playlist that puts every video in chronological order, regardless of when I actually published it. Hope that makes sense. It won't be out for a little while yet because I've published like 145 videos, and getting them all in order is taking a minute or two. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. And if you think you are, please double check to make sure you still are. Hit that notification bell so you find out what's coming up next. And I'd love it if you give a like, thumbs up on this video, and leave a comment down below. Let's roll the intro and get right into it. Thanks for being here. And we're back. Okay, this is going to be a mostly glasses on kind of video because I've had a lot of fun reviewing my past year. So first I want to talk about some of the lows and some of the highs, and all the different things that have been going on. So let's talk about some of the lows from 2023. The first half of my year was pretty much consumed with dental appointments. I started August of 2022, I think. I started wearing Invisalign braces based on the recommendation of my LA dentist. Um, and as that progressed, they wanted to see me like every 6 weeks. It was on the far side of LA. And in the wintertime, I was out in Arizona for the most part. So it was really inconvenient. And one of the things that I discovered as I got further and further into this was that each time I had to go back through LA to get to where my dentist was, I was finding the driving through the city more and more stressful. Now, a couple of things around, I mean, for me, everything that's got a low also has a high associated with it. So one of the things was I was able to find a California State Park, Malibu Creek State Park campground that I stayed in every time I went to the dentist. It was about 12 miles away from the dentist, and it was a decent enough park. And we're going to talk more about how to be able to minimize what you're paying for parking, basically, a little bit later in this video, and how I'm able to do that. But having the ability to be able to stay at the campground there, that was pretty nice because tar docking around the city is fairly difficult within close proximity of the dentist. So that was all up until May. I was back in LA like every 6 weeks. Plus, there was a lot of brouhaha. I ended up needing a new root canal, and my LA dentist told me the tooth that was affected by text message already had a root canal, which turned out not to be true. And I have to say that really undermined my confidence in that dentist quite a bit, along with a few other things. Not going to bother going into those here. So that was one of my big lows. Um, and part of the reason that boondocking was so difficult was that I still had my first class CRV then, which I could not deploy the bed unless the slide was deployed. So that became more and more problematic as time was going by, to the point where really I'd had enough. Um, and part of the issue was also that, things were developing issues. For example, I was out at Mitri Lake in May last year, and I was supposed to be going to the dentist in Mexico that morning to go get the root canal started, and the slide controller just failed on that rig. So I couldn't bring my slide in. I couldn't leave. And fortunately, and again, lemonade out of lemons, this is the way my life goes. I was able to get a hold of a mobile RV tech that rearranged his schedule, finished the job that he was working on in Yuma, and then came out to Mitri Lake, which is, like 40 minutes away. We were pretty far back in there. And I was able to get my slide controller working again. So we left it in the out position. I ordered a new one. He showed me how to be able to bring it in if it wouldn't come in on its own when I was finally ready to leave, which was going to be when the new one was being delivered in Yuma, so I could go get that and install it. So that happened. That was May. And then in June, I was up in Oregon and I'm driving along on a 2-lane road. Tractor trailer comes past me going the opposite direction, going, probably like 65 miles an hour. And all of a sudden I hear this woof. And the next thing I know, I'm looking at the blinds on the skylight over the cab in that rig, and they're being sucked up into the ceiling. I'm like, oh, that's not good. So the seal on the skylight had broken. Again, I went to a RV repair place not too far from where I was, and the tech there came out, got up on the roof, took a look at it. He said, I'm really sorry, there's nothing I can do about this. You need to go to an auto glass shop. But he taped it up with duct tape from the outside so that at least it wasn't going to blow away, because only about half the seal was broken at that point. So I went on about my way, and ended up having to, in Nevada, I ended up having to buy another roll of duct tape and tape it up from the inside as well. I think part of what had happened was it was so hot that the glue on the exterior duct tape was letting go and it started, moving again. So that happened. And then also up in northern Nevada, I went to put my leveling jacks up when I was leaving a campground at a state park, and 3 came up, the 4th did not. The 4th spewed hydraulic oil all over the ground. So that was, first of all, embarrassing because I made a mess. Secondly, distressing because, now what am I going to do? But again, lows are low, but they're not that low. 2 of the guys that worked maintenance at the park, super, super nice guys. They came and it took them 3 or 4 trips back to their maintenance shop to be able to get everything together. But the short version is they were able to fashion a fulcrum and get the jack that would not go up, get that one jacked back up, wired up all 4 of them so they weren't going to just weep back down while I was driving. And then I went to an RV place in, I think that was Elko, Nevada, and they had a tech check it out and said, yeah, you're safe to drive. It's not going to fall apart on you. So, you know, and that was an aftermarket system that I put in at quite the expense. That was almost $7,000 to put that in. But honestly, by this time, I'm really thinking I'm done with this rig. And not just because I've got things going wrong now, because things go wrong all the time, but I had been camping with a friend up in Idaho at the end of June, beginning of July, and just fell in love with the rig that she had in the manufacturer, which is Phoenix Cruiser, which is where I am right now, in my new to me Phoenix Cruiser. The build quality is much, much better, and one of the things that I love about it is the fact that everything works even with the slide in. In fact, last night, there were high winds predicted, but it didn't seem bad before I went to bed. And I woke up about 1:30 in the morning, and I mean, the whole rig is rocking because it was a lot of wind, a lot of wind. And I was not broadside to it. It was actually hitting me from the back. But I got up about 1:30 in the morning, brought the slide in because I knew if I didn't do that, what I'd be thinking about instead of sleeping for the rest of the night was having the slide topper rip. So there's that. All right, so those are my lows. Not too bad, right? Let's talk about some of the highs. So the first high is I got Kit. Hey, come here, Kit. Say hi to the people. I got Kit in February last year. Yes, I did. We've been together almost a year now. And for the most part, he is the best puppy dog I've ever had. And I certainly love having him around with me. He's just been, yeah, he's so sweet. He is. Okay, you can go back to sleep now. You can go back to sleep now. Good boy. I'm sorry, I disturbed you. Good boy, curl back up. So that's been a real blessing. And here's another blessing. The second half of 2023, I didn't have multiple trips to the dentist, especially in LA. So let's see what else. Oh, yeah, getting a new, much more livable rig. I am loving this rig. So my last rig was named Isaac because it was a Coachman Prism. And of course, Isaac Newton discovered the refraction of prisms. And this one is named Henry because it's on a Ford chassis, and I like the name Henry. So there you go. So Henry is much more livable. Um, and even though there have been a couple of challenges with Henry as well, uh, still not that big a deal. So one of the things that I've been really good at over the past year is making lemonade out of lemons. The issues that I've had with Henry have been the broken window behind me that happened at the RV park in Texas, where I was getting my solar and lithium installed, and it was completely an accident. It was a maintenance worker was weed eating the lot next to me, and picked up a stone, threw it into the window, and it shattered. That kind of stuff happens. I ended up staying there actually for about 2 weeks longer than I had intended, while the owner and I were trying to figure out how to get the window replaced. The park owner was, stood up to the plate, took care of everything, including lending me a pickup truck so that I could get out and get groceries and do stuff while we were trying to figure out the overall picture here. And finally, we reached the point where they'd been able to order a new window. It was going to get shipped out to Quartzsite, where RV Lifestyles was going to do the installation for me at their expense, at the RV park's expense. But that way I was able to continue my travels. I'd had a couple of meetups planned that I really didn't want to have to cancel. And I really did not want to be on that side of the country at, the end of November. So I was glad we were able to get all of that together. So that worked out really well. The other issue I've had with Henry, which has not been Henry's fault at all, is I went to Discount Tire the day I drove off the lot in Illinois and had brand new tires put on. And initially, they used the existing valve stem extensions. They told me then that they were having some difficulty getting them sealed, but they thought everything was okay. The reality is that I ended up making a total of 11 trips to nine or 10 to Discount Tires and 2 to an independent tire dealer between August 8th and December 12th. So over a 4-month period, not to mention having to just air up tires on my own periodically. Because of the work that had been done, unfortunately, by Discount Tire, twice I had TPMS sensors ruined. One has been replaced and paid for, including the independent shop that I had to pay to find out what the problem was that time. The other one I haven't addressed with Discount Tire yet. I plan to do that relatively shortly, actually. Um, and I did finally get a solution to the problem because we had done things like replaced the valve stem extensions with new ones. And unfortunately, Discount Tire on 2 different occasions did not properly secure a rear valve extension to the outer wheel, from the inner wheel to the outer wheel rim. So instead, it was flopping around between the 2 tires, and that's what allowed the sensor to be destroyed on 2 different occasions. 2 different shops, 2 different states, even. Kind of crazy. But that's been solved because there's a company called American Custom Tire in Quartzsite, and I went in there in December and I said, hey, I've got a valve stem extension that I need to get replaced. Can you handle that for me? He said, no, we won't do that. Not we can't do that. Not we don't do that. We won't do that. And so we had this whole conversation about it. And ultimately, their position is valve stem extensions fail and they won't use them. What they do instead is they custom made 4 valve stems for me that are the correct length and bent to the correct angle. Said, I don't have valve stem extensions anymore. So much better and surprisingly inexpensive. The 4 valve stems ended up costing me, I think it was $108, including tax installed. And I haven't had to worry about it since. It's been almost a month now, and my tire pressure has remained absolutely fine. No issues. So really, really happy about that. That's worked out really well. So what else we got? So last year I had the opportunity, especially once I bought this rig, although I did it in Isaac as well, of visiting lots of new places and states and revisiting some places from my childhood, which was really a lot of fun. I visited 26 states last year. I visited 25 National Park Service parks and historic sites. I discovered the Bark Ranger program for Kit, so he's got like a whole bunch of swag now. And the Senior Ranger program for me, I just found out about. So that's been a lot of fun, having, like specific things to do while I'm visiting these different sites and so forth. And especially up until really up until the last month or so, I couldn't leave Kit alone reliably without having him be frantic and upset. Like, he would get super high anxiety, and it just wasn't worth it to leave him alone to go do anything. We're at the point now where he can stay reliably for about 2 to 2.5 hours on his own. And yeah, he's still a little bit anxious when I come home, but he settles down really quickly. So that's really, really nice. I also got to visit a lot of different friends. I've been camping with different friends. I've enjoyed camping alone over the past year. And one of the things that's been really fun has been watching my YouTube channel grow and interacting with my viewers that are leaving comments and so forth. So please leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think about this. So let's talk next about how many miles I drove last year. 15,541 miles. And it worked out to be a little bit more per month since I got the new rig, because I was doing a lot of traveling, specifically trying to see as much as I could while I was in that area, Midwest and east part of the country. And for example, I think in 2022, it was more like about 13,000 miles. So not a huge increase, but some increase. And of course, my fuel costs went up fairly dramatically because in Isaac, it was a Mercedes Sprinter chassis with a diesel engine, and I was averaging 15 or 16 miles per gallon. And in Henry, it's a gas engine, and I'm averaging roughly 9. But it's really hard to tell for sure because when I have to run the generator, that's pulling fuel from the engine, from the engine tank, and so my overall fuel economy goes down. But pretty much about 9 for driving miles per gallon. So fair number of miles driven, more than I actually had it seriously intended to. As I said, I got to see so many things and visit so many places and have so much fun. So I slept free for at least 256 nights last year. And we're going to talk about the breakdown of what that really looks like in a minute. But I paid for about 109 nights. And even some of those paid nights, some of the prices were between $0 and $15 a night. Well, wait a minute. How can it be a paid night if it was 0, right? Well, here's how. I take advantage of state park passes. One of the best deals going is the New Mexico State Park Pass. It's $225 a year for non-residents, but it allows you to camp for free in any New Mexico State Park. So how cool is that? And because I'm registered in Nevada, and my driver's license is Nevada, I'm considered a Nevada resident, so I can get a Nevada State Park Pass for $30 a year. Same thing. It allows you to camp free in any of the state parks. And both for New Mexico and Nevada, if you want hookups, you pay the charge for hookups. So in New Mexico, that's $4 a night for electric and water. And in Nevada, it's $10 a night. And in most places, that's full hookups with sewer as well. And then I also have a Texas State Park Pass, which is $70 for the year, because that gives you half off the second night of camping, and it gives you free day use, which is otherwise $5 a day. So I was in a Texas state park for a little over a week, and that basically paid for the pass itself. So my total in passes is about $325 for the year, and my actual paid camping fees were about $1,100. So basically, that's $1,425 I paid in rent for the year. That's like $118 a month, $119 a month. Pretty amazing. So what kind of camping do I do? I broke this down because I thought it was pretty interesting to see how it broke out. So let's start with, BLM, U.S. Forest Service, free camping in general, like just raw, naked land. I did 93 nights. And it would have been a whole lot more, but I spent a lot of time in the Midwest and East where that kind of camping is more difficult to find, especially in close proximity to the things that I wanted to see, where I was, visiting parks and all that kind of stuff, national parks and that kind of thing. I spent 16 nights at Army Corps of Engineers campgrounds, starting in August after I bought this rig, August, September, October. I love COE campgrounds because they're part of the National Park Interagency Pass system. You get half off. So typically hookups are like less than $15. So that's pretty cool. I stayed in national parks campgrounds 4 nights last year, state park campgrounds 37 nights. And again, some of them I had to pay a fee for, and most I did not. And then some other campgrounds, including some so-called RV resorts, not really resorts, RV parks, a total of 70 nights, and those were pretty much all paid nights, but again, very inexpensive because one of the other methods that I use is Passport America. So I'm a lifetime member with Passport America, and that gets me half off of whatever the rate is for that park. So usually that's no more than 15, possibly $20 for full hookups. And a lot of times what I'll do is if I can't find a place to be able to dump and get water for free, and I'm going to have to pay 10 or $15 to do that, I'll try and find a Passport America park for 10 or $15. I'll go park overnight, do laundry, do my dumping, do my refilling, and save money that way. So pretty cool. And then I mooch docked 82 nights last year. I got to visit a lot of friends, hang out in a lot of different places, and really enjoyable. So that was fun. 15 nights in Walmarts starting after I bought this rig in August, because again, finding free camping in the Midwest and East was much more difficult than it is in the West. 2 nights in Bass Pro Shops. 9 nights in Camping World, including a week when I was buying this rig. 9 nights in casinos, 4 Cracker Barrels, all in the second half of the year, 22 Harvest Toast locations, um, including one where I stayed for more than a week because the first time I went there, I actually became friends with the owners, and I'm pretty much welcome to come back anytime, which is great. I really appreciate that. I slept in 2 different rest areas. I really do not prefer rest areas. I try to avoid them as much as possible. And yeah, I mean that's basically all the different places that I camped throughout the year. So, what do I like best? Um, to a large extent, what I really prefer is BLM in the West. It's really nice to be out in wide open spaces, be able to be dispersed camping. In fact, right now, I mean, I counted where I am as BLM. It's really actually it's a state park. It's part of Anza Borrego State Park, outside of Borrego Springs in California. And what's really cool is you can disperse camp here in designated areas for up to 30 days in a calendar year. And that's like super cool. So I got here just before Christmas. I'm actually leaving tomorrow, but I could stay all the way through the end of January if I wanted to. But it's time to go. I've been here long enough. And yeah, this has been an absolutely great stay. It's been particularly fun because I have a friend that spends the winter in Borrego Springs in a Sticks and Bricks. And a couple of things about this. One is my friend, and I didn't ask, but she volunteered, so I'm really grateful for this, has lent us her car the entire time we've been here. So unlike usual, if I want to go someplace, I got to pack up and drive my house. But we've had a car to be able to go sightseeing and checking stuff out and visiting with my friend pretty much every day. She's got a hot tub, so that's been great. Unlimited showers, that's been great. So all these things. So the other thing it's allowed me to do is really stretch the amount of time that I've been able to stay on the water that I had available and my dumps, my tanks, and so forth. So that's all been great. My year 2023 was amazing. I think 2024 is going to be at least as amazing, if not better. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know how your year went. Let me know what you think about how my year went. And, as always, if you get any questions or anything that you're curious about in this RV lifestyle, leave that comment down below and it will likely turn into another video. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Hope you are having a wonderful beginning to your 2024, and we'll see you next time.